welcome back to my channel. I'm Rosa and this is Honestly Rosa. Today I'm going to be showing you some of my simple, healthy, easy to make recipes, especially made for the autumn to make you feel cozy and use up any vegetables that you have. We have got breakfast covered, dinner, which will probably do you for the next few days. For you and a friend if that's useful. I have one of my go-to autumnal soups, which is this time pumpkin and butternut squash with some added chickpeas for protein, and I also have an indulgent breakfast that you have to try. So start by chopping up one onion. I use this simple method of chopping it up. It makes it that much easier to get little bits without having to do so much work. Remember, when scraping them into the pan, if you're using the knife, use the back of the knife so as not to dull the blade. So I'm not using any oil here, just a bit of water. For this recipe, we're going to use half a butternut squash, so be careful when you're cutting it up, no chopped fingers please. Chop them up into manageable sizes. You want them easy enough to hold, to peel, but not too small. Once peeled, you're going to chop them into even smaller sizes so that they cook quicker. Next up, add them into the pan with the onions once the onions are translucent. As this is a very small pumpkin, I'm going to use the entire thing. Once chopped in half, scrape out the insides into some Tupperware. You're going to want to keep the seeds for later. Again, as with the butternut squash, chop into manageable sizes and peel. Once you've chopped them up smaller, once peeled, add them into the pan. Add 2 teaspoons of vegetable stock and pour over boiling water and give it a stir. Add this to the pan and allow to simmer. I opted for these canned carrots as they were less than 50p in the SU shop, and then canned chickpeas as well. Once rinsed, add the chickpeas and the carrots both to the mix and allow to heat. Now, I always cook with a lot of garlic, so I'm adding 4 cloves of garlic and chop it up finely. Add the chopped garlic to the pan and allow to simmer. Once everything has softened up nicely, you can prod it with a fork. I used a hand blender and blended this all up into a nice creamy puree soup. With the seeds you saved earlier, wash them and dry them and put them in the oven to make roasted pumpkin seeds. I have served this soup with nutritional yeast and pumpkin seeds sprinkled on top. Next up is a really indulgent breakfast, although you can have it at any time of the day if you like. Help yourself to 2 scoops of jumbo oats, Add in a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, or half a teaspoon, a half teaspoon of turmeric powder. Now for the special ingredient, the Divine Winter Warming Spiced Hot Chocolate Powder. Add in a heaped teaspoon and a half and 2 scoops of free sole protein powder. I'm using the ginger biscuit here. Mix well together all the dry ingredients. Next up, grab your plant milk of choice. I'm using soya today. And pour in a dash and start mixing. Make sure you combine all the dry ingredients with the milk, that way you don't get any dry pockets. Add in a bit more if need be. I recommend starting on a high heat to get that heat going first and then bringing it down to a simmer. Make sure your porridge is nice and thick and creamy before you take it off the heat. Now for indulgent chocolatey porridge, we have to have real chocolate on top. So I'm using Move Free and they melt just right on top of it. And my new addiction, Lotus Biscoff spread. Here we're going to use up another portion of the butternut squash from earlier. We're going to use about another quarter of this. This time we're going to aim for some thin quarters. Once sliced and peeled, add them to a baking tray as these will be oven baked. Next up, add a scoop and a half of green lentils to a pan and a scoop and a half of quinoa. Rinse and add water and bring to a boil. Next up, we're going to slice up a leek. Remember to remove the ends and the outer 2 layers. And rinse. Chop the leek up. And add to a pan with a little water in it. Here again, I'm not using any oil. Chop up some mushrooms. I've used quite a bit. I'm making this meal to last me for a few days. Don't forget to stir your leeks, we don't want those to burn. Add extra water if they seem to be drying out. Once the leeks have softened nicely, add in the mushrooms to the pan. Stir occasionally. Remember, mushrooms need to sit for a little while to cook through. Once the lentil and quinoa mix has come to a boil, bring it right back down to a simmer and allow the water to boil off. Next up, I'm adding in a can of mixed beans. Rinse these off and chuck them in the pan with the rest. I added in a splash of tamari sauce for added flavour. Don't forget your butternut squash in the oven. It should be nice and soft and sweet. I am also adding in a chopped boiled beetroot. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and give me a cheeky comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know any other recipes you'd like me to try or anything else you'd like to see from me. Keep up the kindness, my friends.